Hello everyone, welcome to this next session on Anubhav Learning Series. Our today's session we will discuss about SAP UI5 visualization and chart controls. In this series of videos, in 4 parts of this video series, we will learn how to create the OData service to be able to supply the analytical data to the chart controls. We will talk about how to create visualization frame, divide your screen into multiple parts, and then we will discuss how to create the necessary flattened data set to supply the data to visualization chart, so-called VizFrame control. We'll look at creating an end-to-end screen with 4 different variety of charts on a single screen, and in fact dividing that screen into multiple parts so that we can take out kind of a dashboard for end user which gives them an insight of what's going on. So let's get started. In this video, we will talk about what is that you should keep it in mind when you want to build a custom chart or a screen where you want to display a dashboard to the end user inclusive of multiple variety of charts. So let's go and discuss about what are all the things or what should be the right design when you're creating the chart controls in your analytical use cases. So now going to the SAP typical world, we have the 3-tier architecture where the Fiori remains on the front end. The middleware is nothing but your application layer, and the database, which is usually tend to be a HANA box these days. Now, for simplicity, I will not showcase the capability of code to data paradigm with ABAP on HANA in these tutorials. Rather, we'll look at our processing logic based out of application layer. Of course, if you would like to know more about ABAP on HANA and S4HANA embedded analytics, feel free to subscribe to my courses on onlinefurytrainings.com. This is one central place where you can find all the learning material for the latest technologies including S4HANA, ABAP on HANA, SAP UI5 Fiori, OData Services, Fiori Launchpad, S4HANA Cloud, S4HANA On-Premise, whatever you need today to survive in this market. Now, in the 3-tier architecture, Fiori becomes your new front end. That's your Fiori user experience. Your application layer is built on either the ABAP language, Java, Node.js, any of these programming languages can make your middleware, your application logic, your processing logic. Then comes is the database layer where we are using now a HANA box. In this tutorial, we will look at building the right analytics data in the application layer and exposing this data via the OData service. So what is the use case we have? Our use case is based on EPM data model, which is a demo model available in SAP system. So there is a requirement that we want to design a dashboard where we want to display the total sales per customer. So I want to design a screen dashboard page in SAP Fiori to display following charts in a single screen. So basically we want to design the screen by dividing a screen in the 4 parts. Each of the part will have one particular type of chart. So the first chart, second chart, third chart, and fourth chart, all of them will be aligned something like this. The first chart here should display the total sales per customers in form of a bar chart or maybe a column chart. The second tab or the second section, we want to display the total sales per product in terms of a column, in terms of a bar chart. The third one, I want to know what is the total sales per currency in the system. So if you have operations in different currencies, probably want to know which currency you made how much business. Last but not the least, we want to then display the total sales per region or per month. So month on month basis, we want to get the total sales. Now, what do you typically think about this? So probably all your data resides in the database layer. You must be thinking that you do a call from the Fiori app to some kind of OData service. And this OData service, you would write probably a select star statement. And this select star would read all the records from the database layer and send it to the front end. Some of you may think of this approach a very bad idea. Just imagine a case where you have sales data. In this case, in this particular use case, we are taking sales data. Typically, your sales data table contains a record somewhere around 500,000 up to 2 million records in the database table. Now think about if you want to build some analytics, you would somehow want to know which customer has given you what sales. Now to build this kind of chart, you would want to get all the records. And now you start looping at these records and start accumulating and aggregating the data. Now, if you load all these 2 million records on the front end, the application loading time is going to be higher, very high. Perhaps the application won't even load because such a high volume of data is getting transferred from the database to the application and then from the application to the Fiori application, which is a very bad idea. So to avoid the performance issue or to avoid such kind of loading issue and get the best performance for your analytical app, you should just get the measures and the corresponding category or the corresponding dimension right from the database itself. And that is something can be easily done with the help of select queries and aggregation functions. I can write a select query with the group by of my criteria, and I can total it up or calculate the averages based on different criterias using select query. In the modern world where we are using HANA-based database, we can also go with advanced techniques like CDS views, ABAP managed data procedure, ADBC, or native developments where we can create HANA calculation views, which gives you the aggregated data, analytic views in HANA, and then consume them in ABAP layer. If you want to learn more about CDS and such analytic capabilities, including the CDS annotation-based Fiori applications, which are so-called OVP application, please feel free to subscribe to my ABAP on HANA training on my website onlinefioritrainings.com. Kindly subscribe to this YouTube channel because here is where we get a lot of free videos for you every week so that you can gain the insights of such things and the best practices while you developing your application in the company. So now let us go ahead and design an OData service entity using SAGW transaction, which would return 4 entities for 4 kind of this data. And then we will fill these entities with the data in our OData service. So what I will do is I will just first show you our data model. So we have a database table called SNWD underscore SO. This includes all the sales orders. This database table is used for only demo and practice and training purpose. It's part of EPM data model in ERP system. It's available in all the systems which are having SAP NetWeaver 7.4 and above. So in this table, you would see all the information like node key is the primary key, and then you have the gross amount, you have the currency code, you have different order statuses, yeah? You have different buyer GUID information which links it with the buyer table who has bought this sales order to get the company name who purchased this. Similarly, we have another table called line item table for sales orders where it is getting the information about which product was bought. There is another table called SNWD PD table which has the product information though, and of course the product category. I have some data loaded in these tables in my S4HANA system, and now what I will do is I will utilize these tables to create the right data for my analytics. So first of all, let's get started. We go to SEGW transaction code and create a quick OData service over here. So what I will do is I will create an OData service now. So let's go ahead and I will be creating a new OData service. So here what I'll do is I just click on this create button, and now I'll enter a project name. The project name I will give is zonlinefurytrainings.com, and I'll say analytical analytics. Yeah. So www.onlinefurytrainings.com service for analytics. And now I'll save it in a local object for time being. And now I will go ahead and add the data models. So let's go ahead and add data models. So I will add here entity type, say click on create, and we will create an entity type here, so called my analytics. And I will also create an entity set. So first analytics set which I would like to create is total sales per customer. So I will say sales per customer, sales customer set. Click on OK. Let's provide the properties for this analytics type. I go to properties, and now I will just add here two properties. One is going to be my dimension, which is nothing but, let's say, text, and then I will say value. I mark text as a key property. This is how I can create a generic entity type which can be used for analytics. And now this should be of EDM string type. And on the other side, this one, the value which I have, I will be creating it as a double big number. And now I will say, yeah, this is all looks good right now. I just save this. Now what I will do is I will quickly create 4 entity sets of this kind. So first one I already created as sales customer set. So for each entity set will supply data to each of my chart. The structure of all 4 will remain same, which will derive from this analytics entity type. So let us go ahead and create sales per product, sales for products. So I just create another entity type. Just give the name of entity set as sales product set. The type of entity again, I just select as a base entity type analytics. Wow. Let's create the third one, say create. And third one is total sales per currency. And I will just say here, entity type name. Again, we just have one entity type. And the last one I would like to probably create it as sales per country. Superb. I save this up, and now we can quickly generate the runtime artifacts. And now guys, we will start writing the code. So basically, this piece of code which we will be writing here, we will be using ABAP programming language. Of course, it depends on your choice of programming in the cloud world, especially those who are working with SAP Cloud Platform. You have a choice for going with Java or Node.js or Python, or build your use your own build packs. However, since we are mainly working on S4 system, S4 on-premise system, we will use here ABAP programming language. So system has generated the runtime artifacts, which is nothing but your DPC class. So if you are new to OData service, please feel free to subscribe my SAP UI5 and Fiori training, where you will get an insight on what is an OData service, what is these runtime artifacts, what is DPC, what is MPC. All these things are covered in very much detailed in the SAP UI5 and Fiori training. So now I will just go inside this class. So I'm assuming that you're comfortable with SAP UI5, Fiori, Gateway, OData, all these concepts, so that you can relate it to the real world. So this is my assumption with which I am covering this video. Of course, those who are new to this stuff, please feel free to subscribe on my courses where these all these things have been covered from very scratch, from very basic. All right, we've got 4 entity sets, and we will just be implementing get entity set method for each one of them for the analytics purpose. So go for change mode on this class, and I will say sales country entity set get entity set. So let's click on re-implement, and now I will write here the logic. So basically I will select the data sales per country here. Guys, I will share this code with all of you in my presentation. I will put the link of the presentation in the description of this video below. Please go and check the description of this video to find the right link. Also to find the course details on my UI5 and Fiori fundamental course, which will make you a perfect developer on SAP UI5 and Fiori. Let's come back. So now here we will go ahead and add the select query. So select, I would like to select aggregated data. So I want to select the country information, of course, and I want to also select some of my gross amount, total sales amount. That's what I want to select. So let's do that. And whenever you use aggregation function, also use the alias name. So make sure this country is mapped to the entity type which we have defined as per our entity. So as text, that is the name of the entity type property, and this as a value. So if you remember, in our service definition, we have given text and value pair for all of these entity sets. So if you just check the definition properties, you will find we have text value pair. So always this mapping to the text and this mapping to the value. So now that's my first thing I need to take it in mind. And now I will say from which table these values are going to come. So this is going to come from address table. So I just put the alias name address, and this should come from my sales order table. So I just put SO. But now, how do you get a join done between address and SO table? This is done via an intermediate table in our data model called BPA table. So let's do that. So basically, in your case, you would have a use case in your company, and that depends completely on your database table. So you would be having an idea on the right database table. However, some of you who are just working as a front-end developer, the UI developer, you should not take care of these things. This is something which will be taken care by ABAP developer. You can just ask them to provide you the right data set. And once they give you the right data set, you can just look at my next part of this video series where we will learn about how to build the front end for this. All right. So now let's go ahead. And we have got this, and I say select data from my sales order table as SO. And this is going to join with SNWD business partner table, and the join condition is going to be sales order buyer GUID is going to match with the business partner node key, and this further joins with address table header. Join condition will be my business partner address GUID is going to cover with address table node key. Sorry. Perfect. And I'm going to get this data as per the new ABAP syntax into my internal table. Again, guys, those who are not comfortable with new ABAP syntax, please subscribe my ABAP on HANA training, where I've covered all of these things in detail. Yeah, of course, we don't need to do that into corresponding fields of table. We can directly get it into the ER entity because we have got the data in the same format. I will save this and do a quick check here. And oops, we have got an error. Of course, as per the new ABAP syntax, escaping of host variable is important. And now here we have a challenge. So it says group by clause is missing for the country, which is expected. And of course, I have to add the group by clause because we're grouping the data, aggregating it. So now the beauty of this approach is you don't have to return all the million records which you have in your sales order table to the front end. Never ever do that. You will burn your fingers. Okay, because if you are sending all this mass volume of data and let the front end do this looping, it's a very bad idea. This has to be done on the on the on the application layer and possibly in the database layer using code push down with HANA. I just save this up. The first query is ready, and we take this query as a reference to speed up, and I will activate quickly, and now moves to the next query. I'm loving it. Let's go back. And next one is then you go with the sales currency set, get entity set. Very nice. Let's go inside. And this one is going to be pretty simple one because we just have to group the results based on currency over here. So let's do that. Select currency code, comma, as text, and then sum of again gross amount. Wow, this is my value from single table sales order group by currency code into table et entity set. Super. That's my second query, getting the data based on currency code. Move to the next one is this one, which is to get currency customer based on customer, the sales based on customer. So let's implement this one. Go for edit. And now here we will write. So I will share all this source code with all of you. Don't worry. This is something you are going to get it as part of the description of this video. I will put the link of the PPT, and in that PPT, I will put all this source code. Yeah, you guys can download and implement it in your own SAP system accordingly. All right, super. Now comes here, it just needs the business partner table because customer name is stored there. It's not customer name, it's called company name. Yeah, and that's a relationship. Perfect. And this is going to be grouping by company name this time. Do a quick check on syntax. Looks beautiful. Let's go back to the last query, where now we will get it based on product description, the product name, product category, in fact, not even description of the product. So it's based on product category. So we got to join here multiple tables. Another select query, select product table, product category as text, again sum of gross amount. So your measure is all the time is a gross amount. Value from sales order table, sorry, it is going to be the items table, sales order items table, with a join on sales order product table. Product ID matching with the ID of the product table's product node key. Group by category. Awesome. Let me just check this up. Oops, we have a problem. Yes, PD. It's PD table, not prod. And that's my alias name. Yeah. Of course, it's not a very professional code. Just for simplicity, I kept it very simple. You would do much more better programming here. You would have filtering mechanism. You will have sorting, searching, all the exception handling code, all the blocks which you have, modularization, static method call, class instantiate, and design patterns. You got to be using all that. Of course, this is just for example purpose. Yeah, basically you got to group the result. You got to aggregate right away in the app layer rather than returning all the records. That's the whole idea of explaining this example, keeping it so simple. Just 4 methods. Let's activate this up. And now our class is ready, which means we can now go ahead and test this auditor service right from the scratch by calling this entity set, and we should get the aggregated results. So I'm going to go back and we will also register the auditor service. So I just go to service maintenance, double click on local, and I just click here and say please register the service. The system alias right now, it's an embedded hub deployment, so I would just have one entry here called local, and I would just activate the registration. Superb. From here directly I jump to SAP Service Gateway to test my entity sets, and we first get the service document. You can see we have got 4 entity sets: sales customer set, product set, currency set, and country set. Let me just go ahead and select the first entity set, and we will get the data in the JSON format one by one and check it. I'm going to keep my entity set name in my PPT so that it will be easy for me later point of time to do the corresponding binding, because later point of time we have to create binding with our UI application. So I will just keep all 4 of my entity sets into the PPT. Superb. And now at the same time, I will also put my endpoint. So those who have access to my S4 HANA box, you guys will go ahead and check the implementation directly. This is the S4 HANA 1809 latest instance which we are using, and we also offer the server for you to access. So you can go ahead and get an access to this system, and then you can start consuming our things. In fact, you can build these examples in this demo server. This is for only training and demonstration purpose. All right, no productive scenarios should be built on this. Okay. So now we have got this entity set and server, and now it's time to execute our first entity set to check if it gives me sales per customers. Execute this up, and voila, there you go. You can see the text and the value is coming. So text will tell you what is the customer name, and the value is telling you the total sales of that customer actually. But oops, what I see is this value is coming as a string, which ideally I'm not expecting. I'm expecting more of a number, because that is going to be my measure. So let's quickly go back and check here the property type, and we will just change this to a decimal number. Yeah, I just save this, regenerate. Okay, let's come back again, and we will go back to the gateway client. So from here, we jump to the service maintenance, go to the gateway client, and we will quickly check calling our entity one more time in the JSON format. So our first entity set name is this one. Just going to pick it up and execute. Oops, there is a problem in context of data service now, and we got to fix this. All right, I think it was just a metadata refresh issue. I just did a re-execute, and now see our values are coming as we are expecting them to be the numbers without double quotes. Awesome. Let's time for test to next entity set, sales product set. Guys, I will also share with you the metadata of the OData service, so you guys can replicate this in your system. I come to the next entity set for product-based sales, breakup, execute, and now you see for each product what is the sales. Yeah. So this is the breakup for sales per product. Superb. The third one comes is by currency, and I think we have just one currency in place here per sales, because we are reading the data from the header table, and it's all transformed into one currency. So we should get just, I guess, one record here as far as I understand my data, which I have in this system created. Okay, now it's taking too much of time here, but yes, finally we get the data. So you see, the aggregation this way gives you faster results, because that's what you want to display to the charts. And now the last one, but not least, the country-wise sales. And I can just execute, and you see it for different countries. Now the sales is coming. Superb. So now it's time to go ahead and create the Fury application on top of this OData service. So first we just generate the app from the template, and then we will create the different boxes in which we will be adding these different charts one by one. We will also talk about how to create the VizFrame in our next unit, and then we will create the Fury app. So see you in the next unit. Please feel free to put your questions down in the comment box below. What do you think about this tutorial? Please do subscribe and hit the bell icon on this channel to get notified with the next part of this video. Thank you so much. See you. Goodbye.